respond in this video to Professor Anton, I suppose, or to what he's talking about anyway, which is sort of this argument, not much notes, between, natural and supernatural, and I guess natural versus man-made, or some other standard of creation. I bend it towards the whole idea of intelligence, and so he sort of makes this argument, or simplicity in what he says a lot, that we're sort of the product of the universe displaying its intelligent nature. Because it created these self-reflective dying machines. Besides, we are consumption, reproduction, and death. I should add that one as the qualifier. Is that sort of the machinery? So, I haven't found a good way to put it yet. But beneath the nature is, logic is just an intrinsic. It's almost like cause and effect. It's just it's a natural phenomenon. Logic. What is critical is the premise of the logic. What you put at the very first cause. And I would argue that the first cause in the universe is not an intelligent cause. There isn't an intelligence that says, I have a good idea, I'm going to create a universe. That's not there. And it is just what it is. And it has in its origin, as its premise, no understanding of good or bad, no understanding of possible consequence. And so, of course, the universe could be accidentally very good, or it could be accidentally very bad. And whatever those rolls of the dice, the permutations, those are what they are. We don't have any control over the implications. I guess I would sort of say that, unfortunately, the universe, the way it's structured, that inherently there isn't much more than negative potential. Just because this matter stuff will evolve into potentially sentient creatures, and the nature of sentience is the nature of forced march. It's the nature of these things will be through natural selection built to be very aggressive in their existence, and we will push them through this medium. And their aggression, they will use their aggression to win a competitive battle, to become some sort of perfect consuming and reproducing and dying machine. And that's not a great thing. That's a bad premise. If that's the premise of the foundational logic, you're not going to bake a good cake. It's that simple. So what happened for us? It means this intelligence thing is just a tool, as I pointed out. It's just like having, long teeth or sharp claws or some other thing, some other weapon that'll enable you to do well in the competition out there in the wildernessy thing. Yeah, you can almost see that. And that's what it is. Okay, it's a good instrument to have, and all it's doing is this logic thing in a way. It's just taking what's the cause and effects that are all out there, putting them in the brain, and running the interactions inside an internal mechanism, so we can now run it and fast forward. It can predict the future. Essentially, it's a future predicting machine intelligence. That's its real function and use as a biological invention. Now, a consequence of it is also that, you can use that modeling for other purposes. Besides a scheming tool, besides advancing the future for your organism, you can also use that intelligence to realize that you're not the only organism in the game, that the other guy's pain is just important as your pain, and so you might as well come to some agreement not to hurt each other. You can do all kinds of things with that intelligence to mitigate against the natural structure. But that's what you're doing. You're fighting against the game rules. You're telling the master, I won't play by your rules anymore. I've grown above you. I'm not going to submit to your authority anymore. And I'm going to try to do something better with my existence. than play a stupid game that should have never been built. To be a participant in a maze, to run a maze that has no integrity as no reason to exist, and certainly no integrity just by looking at it, just by saying, well, what's the rules of this game? Oh, it's a stupid game, let's not play it. And it's pretty obvious. So we're going to change the rules, and that's the expression of our intelligence. But it wasn't something that existed before our creation. It wasn't something it's something we discovered. We were allowed to find the truth through the medium of intelligence, to discover it, but it wasn't part of the plan. It's a breaking of all the natural plan. So I don't know if I have to beat this one to death, but I mean this whole conflict, this whole use again, we're back to words. So I guess I'll title this Words Volume 4 or something, even if I'm only at 3, but whatever, doesn't matter. Because it's how we define what natural is, what supernatural is, and what unnatural is. These are important terms, and to understand that what we're really saying when we're saying unnatural is we're saying intelligent, because everything about nature is not intelligent, and that's really man's influence is an intelligent influence. It's a manipulation through intelligence, at least enough intelligence to become a competent schemer, and then it's well, at least intelligence to have tools. Like we have the tools to pollute the Gulf of Mexico. We don't have the intelligence to know not to do it, or to make it impossible for it to happen, but we certainly have acquired the tools to do it, the power to do it, through intelligent manipulation of the environment. We're just not intelligent enough to do it right. And that's the liability of intelligence. Is sometimes you're given more than you can handle because you don't have enough to do it right. And having it, making sure you don't act recklessly until you have enough information is probably one of the key, like if there's one of those super intelligent little things you need to know, like, I don't know, you could put in a good comparison with like eating dead birds or something. Don't eat a dead bird. If you see one on the road, don't eat it. There's little bits of intelligence, and one of them is that, don't act, when you haven't achieved enough competence to act. And that's sort of my argument about this whole population control issue, is that people really ought to be able to appreciate that the human race isn't up to 7 billion people competence. It doesn't have the competence to manage 7 billion people. It can't do it. Can't do it right. Can't do it fail-safe. Can't do it responsibly. They're just not intelligent enough. We're not intelligent enough to do that yet. We don't have the systems in place to do that yet. So why are we doing it? It's stupid. And everybody should be able to just say that. It's stupid. We can't do it. We've got to have rules that say that can't happen, because this is a big mistake to let this thing get out of control. And it's out of control. It's out of the realm of controllability. It's stupid. And it ain't going to work. So anyway, I sort of wanted to get to the idea of this reverence for this natural world, as if nature has some sort of intelligence. It has some logic, but it's only logical based on a crazy premise. And it's crazy. I mean, we call psychopaths who don't have any conscience and who don't care if they kill somebody or cause pain to people, we call them insane. Well, nature doesn't care. It's logically functional, like a hitman. It can go out into the world and it can, well, it doesn't go out into the world, but it has a system in place. I mean, it does the right thing. I mean, it puts its pants on the right way, so to speak. But it's a lunatic. It's out of its fucking mind because it has a crazy premise, and the crazy premise is it doesn't give a fuck. Okay, it just does not care about how much harm it creates, how much suffering consciousness endures. It just cares that the something ends up outside that window. It doesn't matter whether it's walking trees or talking trees or trees with giant fangs. It just doesn't care what the hell is out there. It doesn't care what that looks like. It just cares that something wins, that plays the game, that it runs in the competition. But it doesn't define a winner, what a winner should look like. And so it doesn't care, how much waste there is. It doesn't care that maybe like A fox will kill every chicken in the chicken coop, even though it can only eat half a chicken. It just doesn't care about those inefficiencies. It just cares that, oh yeah, so that fox is really good because it can wipe out shit really easy, and it can make mayhem in the world so it can dominate. And it can take all the dead carcasses and bury them for later, because it probably evolved from an Arctic fox that could get away with that because the ground was a refrigerator. And it figured that out biologically through nature. Nature imposed the logic of, oh yes, if there's plenty, I'll kill plenty and then bury it all and save it for later when there isn't plenty. So anyway, I think that's probably enough of a video and such. So yeah, in a different workspace today. Yuck. Anyway, till next time.